On the table today we have the M-EQDriver mid booster and drive from Origin Effects. It's not a completely new pedal. Well, the black version is a special edition, so that is new, but the M-EQDriver has been on the market for some time. And I must say, I think it's a very overlooked drive pedal, because I've been using it for about a week, a bit over a week now, testing it with my setup, and man, it's a great freaking pedal, and I'm going to show you why. I am a huge fan of combining a drive pedal with a simple EQ pedal to have more control over the EQ, and especially the mids. And I'm not throwing the regular 7-band EQ under the bus here, but sometimes I feel that they don't necessarily sound that musical, which is very different with this pedal, because this one definitely sounds musical. It is based on an old Pultec EQ from the 50s. Even the drive section is based on that. So basically it's a vintage studio grade EQ that allows you to take full control over your guitar tone. Mids equals guitar tone, in my opinion. And it's not about just boosting the mids all the way up all the time. It's about taking control over those frequencies. And that is something that you can do really well with this pedal. So let's go through the controls right here. Level, easy, that's level. Drive, of course, is drive, which is also based on the Pultec EQ. Then you have mids, which is controlling how much you want to boost the mids. And on this right here, you control what you want to push. Is it 800, 1K, or 1.3K? Then you have the cut switch, which I initially thought had something to do with cutting mids. It is not. It's basically a roll-off of highs. So when it's set all the way to the left, you are letting everything through. Then you start to roll off, kind of like you do on the Vox AC30. And then you have the adapt switch, and that is working together with the cut knob. When you have that on, you can set this to full cut if you want to. So when you are backing off on your playing, you're playing more lightly or turning down the volume on the guitar, you are letting through more high frequencies, because you might want to have a bit more clarity when you are cleaning up your guitar tone. And when you are digging in, the adapt kicks in and will roll off that high end, and you can control that with the cut still, of course. Really neat feature, and of course I'm going to demonstrate that for you. Okay, so first I'm going to show you a lot of different sounds with this pedal using my Fano PX6. I'm going into a Fender Deluxe Reverb, and then I'm going to show you how you can use this pedal to beefen up a Strat. I'm going to show you how you can use it to brighten up a dull sounding humbucker guitar. And of course, I'm not going to let you down. I'm using this to boost my amps Ampeg VT40 style preamp, and we are taking a trip into the desert with a down-tuned guitar, because this is also fantastic for that sound. It's probably the best pedal I've tried to do that kind of thing with. I mean, it is so dynamic and balanced, and the stuff that you can do with the EQ is just magic in my opinion. I'm often really interested in the 800 area when I'm boosting mids, but also going up to 1.3 and combining with pushing that and cutting off the highs above it is it's just magical, basically. Okay, let's help this strat a tiny bit. It's a really good sounding strat, of course, but they are thinner sounding than most other guitars. And then we are going to the 800 Hertz area. And we are cutting a bit of highs and we are starting to boost. And by the way, you probably have noticed that when you are boosting the mids, you are also getting more drive because the mids and the drive, they are sort of working together. So the more mids you push, the more drive you get. So useful to use with a strat, to beefen up the mids and to cut off some highs. That's often my main issue when I'm using a strat with a lot of saturation, is that it gets too bright and too harsh. Okay, let's sort of do the opposite. We are brightening up a dull sounding humbucker guitar. And we are at 1.3 right now, and I'm pushing it pretty hard. And then if it feels like it's too much, then I start to use the cut and see if I can sort of balance it out. That's when the pedal is really great, in my opinion. Let's turn on the amps pre-EQ tube preamp thing, VT40 Ampeg. It has some drive in it already, and then we are boosting that with this pedal. with this, it definitely works best with the 800 push. Another thing that I wanted to show you is how I use mids when I'm recording guitars to determine how wide or narrow a mix should be. So let's say we have a song, we are doing one guitar on the left side and one guitar on the right side. If you want a more narrow guitar sound, you try to record these two guitars with a similar EQ curve on them. You can still use different guitars and amps, but they are similar sounding in the EQ. If you want to widen that and have a wider guitar sound, it is important to have a bigger variation in EQ between the two guitars. So I made an example. I first recorded one guitar and then I overdubbed it with a very similar EQ curve to the first one. Then I recorded the overdub again using this pedal, boosting 800 Hz all the way up. I was still trying to balance the drive because I didn't want a difference in saturation to be the point of the example. So I was trying to balance it out. It's a bit difficult since you are pushing the amp harder with boosting the mids. But here you can hear the differences between having two more similar guitar sounds and one where you are boosting the mids a lot and you have a more flat EQ on the other one. See if you can tell the difference. Man, overdrive pedals are so freaking good at the moment. If you talked to me about overdrive pedals a couple of years ago, I would be at this extreme fatigue about all overdrive pedals. I do love overdrives, they are my favorites. I have a bunch of them, but it was really hard to see anyone coming up with something new, and this is definitely new and it sounds amazing. I also really want to point out that the drive sounds fantastic because I also think that's a bit overlooked with this pedal. Going up until this point, at least with my rig right now, it sounds more like maybe a more conventional overdrive pedal, which is great. When you push it, it gets like a tiny bit of crazy in the character, not a whole lot, but it sounds a bit like blown up, and I just really like that. It adds character. Often people comment on my videos and other demo people videos that, well, everything you do sounds the same. Well, a lot of drive pedals sounds the same, and you are often using the same gear every time, and you get a tiny bit of character from your amp, in this case my Fender Deluxe Reverb. So when a pedal can offer a drive character that's a bit different, I just really like that. And when I track real guitars for a song, it's so cool to have something that sounds a tiny bit different, and you get that with the drive section of this pedal. And to use these two together, change it up a bit and find the guitar tone that you have in your head, or a guitar tone that fits the mix you are working on, or to cut through a mix if you are playing in a band and you want to like cut through and hear yourself and not the bass player and the other guitar players. You want to hear yourself, of course. Now in black, special edition, There will be links down below. Thank you for watching this video, and goodbye.